One of the big arguments that people have when it comes to homosexuality, especially as it relates to Christians, is they ask the question of love. What is wrong with two people loving each other? What is wrong with two people loving each other and making a lifelong commitment to each other? And this is where we as Christians, again, have completely, I believe, missed the boat. Because you find in Scripture, you find two men actually making a lifelong covenant together. It's David and Jonathan. Some people have distorted that to say that David and Jonathan had a homosexual relationship, which there is no evidence for. The same thing goes with Ruth and her mother-in-law, Naomi. They had an agreement between them. They lived together. They loved each other, and they were of the same sex. Again, it was a daughter-in-law, though, agreeing to care for her mother-in-law in her old age. For David, it was an agreement that he would take care of Jonathan's children after Jonathan had died. Jonathan was married, David was married. They were both heterosexual men. In fact, one of David's biggest problems was he was heterosexual. One of his biggest sins was adultery with Bathsheba. This was not about a homosexual relationship. It was about two men who loved each other and two women who loved each other and made a commitment to each other for a lifetime. The problem with this idea is that we equate in American culture love and sex. And love and sex are not always the same thing. I love my mother, but that does not mean I want to have sex with my mother. I love my children. That does not mean I want to have sex with my children. I love the members of my church. That does not mean that I want to have sex with the members of my church. Okay, the idea of love equaling sex is something that we have come up with as a society. So the question is, what is wrong with two men loving each other? Absolutely nothing. We're commanded to love our neighbor as ourselves. We're commanded to love our enemies. We're commanded to love our brothers and sisters. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a brother loving his sister. What's wrong is when the brother has sex with the sister, and that's called incest. For a man to love a man, there's nothing wrong with that. For a man and a man to make a commitment to be there for each other in old age, to take care of each other, there's nothing wrong with that. For two women to make a commitment to each other, to live together, there's nothing wrong with that. The issue is not about love. The issue is when we equate love with sex, that love always has a sexual component to it, and that is just simply not the case. When God the Father loved us, it does not mean he was sexually attracted to us. And when we talk about the issue of homosexuality, the issue is not about love. We would encourage women to love women. We would encourage men to love men. The issue is not about love. The issue is about sex and what is acceptable in the eyes of God. So when some people say, well, why are you so upset about two men loving each other? The answer is, I'm not. I think it's great that two men love each other. I think it's great that two women love each other. In fact, I think that we should all love each other. We should love our neighbor as ourselves. Isn't that the second of the greatest commandments? So when we talk about that issue, it's really a misplaced idea. The issue is not love. The issue is the sexual act that is not according to what God has commanded.